Thank you, Joseph, for the beautiful welcoming music. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to All Faiths Unitarian Congregation. My name is Joyce Ramay, and I'm going to be your worship associate today. Here you will find a diverse and inclusive spiritual community where we welcome people with many beliefs. You can bring your whole self, your full identity, your questioning mind, and your expansive heart. At All Faiths, we have more than one way of experiencing the world and understanding the sacred. No matter who you are or where you are on your spiritual journey or whomever you love, you are truly welcome here. We have a few announcements today. If you're interested in learning more about All Faiths or membership, you can talk with Fran Way or one of our greeters at the membership corner, which is right behind the sound by the folding doors following the service today. On Tuesday, there's a very important and special event here at All Faiths. Our climate action team is showing a special movie, The Other Side of the Hill, about climate warming and action that we need to take. And then following the documentary, there will be a discussion. This is open to others, so if you have friends or groups that you belong to, please invite them to join us. That will be Tuesday here at 2 p.m. On Wednesday at 10 a.m., we will have the Our Lives, Whole Lives program with Donnelly Benyak on Zoom. Donnelly, would you stand? These discussions are very good. They cover our whole lives, everything from birth to babies and marriages and illnesses and death and sexuality and relationships. It's our whole lives. And the discussions have been wonderful. So please join us on Zoom. That's at 10 o'clock on Wednesday. Our guest speaker today is Richard Keelan. And he is the head of the Children's Advocacy Program at Golisano Children's Hospital. And more important for us, he's the beloved husband of our minister. Richard, we're delighted to have you giving us the message today. And now I invite everyone to rise as you are able and join in singing Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. I'd like to mention one thing. We no longer are requiring that you wear masks here. However, in the recent week, Florida has 1 out of 5 of every new COVID-19 death. And so it's important that you do protect yourselves and others. If you're so inclined to wear your mask during services, that's fine. Just keep everyone safe. And now I'd like to invite Bob DeGalbo to come forward to light our chalice. Bob is in charge of our grounds committee, and he sees that everything gets repaired around here. So please join in reciting the words printed in your order of service. O light of life, be kindled again in our hearts as we meet together this morning to celebrate the joy of the human community, seeking a wholeness that extends beyond ourselves. At this time, we share joys and sorrows from our whole lives, births and graduations, marriages, illnesses, deaths. So if you have a joy or a sorrow that you'd like to share with us, we invite you to come forward one at a time to light a candle. Joe?
I'm Joe Battelle, and I wanted to give you a quick rundown on some news on Nicole, McBagel, and Jen. As many of you know, Nicole is the mother of a child that's paralyzed because of a genetic deficiency. She's in the middle of a pregnancy. She's at Health Park. She's hospitalized during the whole pregnancy because of the danger of losing the child. It's been a real strain on both of them. Nicole just lost her mother recently, and Jen had double rotator cuff surgery, and the child is now 35 pounds, and it's a real problem for them to handle. So they've been asking for whatever support this church and people here can give. I received a text this morning. Nicole has suffered a gallbladder attack in the middle of the pregnancy and has been in severe pain. They managed to get somebody to a therapist who volunteer and who they're paying for because their medical plan doesn't cover for this particular service to stay with the child with Jen. Jen's attempting to maintain the household and keep her job, and she's working very hard at it, but it's an enormous emotional strain as well as a financial strain. So this morning when I got the text, I thought I'd give you an update. They're going to need help, both physically and financially.
We hold them in our hearts and our thoughts and our prayers. And
this is also for Nicole and Jen. This is all. Thank you. This is. So I spoke to Nicole last night, and at that time she did not have this gallstone attack. So that's this morning's news. I arranged with Nicole to visit her this afternoon after service. So I guess I'll have to find out if that's still on.
And Joe.
My name is Joe Gayton. I'm your sexton, and I'm doing very well, except my other half. She started to bleed from her brain on this side. So I took her to Dr. Savage yesterday, and he said there's nothing they can do here in Fort Myers. So she has to go to Cleveland. So she's flying out Wednesday to Cleveland to the clinic over there, the Cleveland University, and I don't know what they're going to do. I'm not going, but she's got her son there, so he's going to take care of everything. Keep her in your prayers and thoughts.
Carol was one of our founding members, and of course the hostess with the mostest. She put on the most dinners of any person I ever knew. She's had this ongoing issue of brain tumors and problems. So please do keep her in your thoughts and prayers. And I'm lighting this candle for all the people who are suffering throughout the world from fires and floods and COVID-19 and wars. If our lives are peaceful and healthy, we have a lot to be grateful for, but please don't neglect those whose lives are not as good as ours. And I light this candle for all of you who have joys and sorrows in your heart. And now let us share a moment of silence and contemplate all of your blessings. And now I invite you to rise as you are able in body or spirit, and join together in singing my favorite hymn, Spirit of Life.
We come together this morning to remind one another to rest for a moment on the forming edge of our lives, to resist the headlong tumble into the next moment until we claim for ourselves awareness and gratitude, taking the time to look into one another's faces and see their communion, the reflection of our own eyes. This house of laughter and silence, memory and hope is hallowed by our presence together.
Say there's so much you don't know. You need to go and find yourself. You say you'd rather be alone, 'cause you think you won't find it tied to someone else. That the growing only happens on your own. They don't know me and you. Grow as we go. Ooh, grow as we go. Ooh, grow as we go.
Thank you, Joseph. Never stop growing. As long as you're alive, keep growing mentally, physically, spiritually, in every possible way. So beautiful. Our reading today is by David Benner, who writes of the importance of embracing wholeness as a path to holiness. The harmonic of the universe is wholeness, not perfection. Wholeness, not perfection. More specifically, it is wholeness that involves differentiation. Fusion is a union that sacrifices differentiation, but wholeness retains differentiation. Without wholeness, we hear only the cacophonous noise of the various parts of ourselves clanging together. Without differentiation, we hear only the pure sound of a single tone, but not its harmonics. We want the whole symphony. How do you know if you are on a path that leads to increasing wholeness and involves living out of wholeness? You will hear the harmony, not just the cacophony of a fragmented self. You will also sense the energy of the larger whole, an energy that goes beyond your own. You will at least occasionally experience the thrill of being simply a small part of a large cause, the thrill of being a tool seized by a strong hand and put to an excellent use. You will be comforted by knowing that we are all interconnected. We are all interconnected, like our newsletter, Connections. In a very real sense, therefore, what you do for another, you do for yourself. Love passed on to others becomes the most meaningful form of self-love, and care of the earth and its inhabitants becomes the care of the self. We live wholeness when we remember our story and through it experience a deeper sense of being part of that greater whole. We live wholeness when we know we belong to people, to a place, to a community and tribe, to earth, to God, however named, and to the cosmos. We live wholeness when we know that what we already have is enough, less is more, and that all we need is to be resourceful with it. Living wholeness is participating in the dynamism of love. I'm going to repeat that. Living wholeness is participating in the dynamism of love that gathers everything together into greater unity and consciousness. It is to live with an openness of the mind and heart, to encounter others, not as strangers, but as part of one's own self. When we enter into the heart of love in this way, we enter the field of relatedness and come to know our truest and deepest belonging and calling. Wholeness and love are inseparable. In the words of Ilya Delio, our challenge today is to trust the power of love at the heart of life, to let ourselves be seized by love, to create and invent ways for love to evolve into a global wholeness of unity, compassion, justice, and peacemaking. This is living wholeness in love. And now, rise as you are able in body or spirit and join in singing hymn number 1053, How Could Anyone? And for those watching online, the words are printed in your order of service.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
Today's sermon is a story of my journey towards wholeness, as well as a love story. I am a UUMP. What is that? This is a closed Facebook group that I belong to, and there are only 152 members in the United States. UUMP stands for Unitarian Universalist Ministers Partner. How many of you have your spiritual home in your spouse's workplace? How many of you are voting members of the organization that pays your spouse? This Facebook group is closed and confidential, and I can't share specifics, but the conversations have themes. How to fit in, how to deal or not deal with church politics. Should I even go to my spouse's church? What do I do when people say bad things about my spouse? How do I deal with the fact that most congregations, a spouse is believed to be speaking for the minister? This group is active and issues come up all the time and the opinions are all over the map. You also should know I am a Unitarian Universalist. I fiercely believe in the promise of our living tradition. I believe ours is a healing message for a broken and hurting world. And when we gather on Sunday morning, I feel nourished and replenished for the week ahead. Reverend CJ, or just CJ as I call him, and I have been on this UU journey together. Understand that he's a minister, but I am no less UU than him. We raised our children in UU churches, or Unitarian Universalist churches, and always went as a family. I go to CJ's church because ever since the first time I saw him preach, I realized I get a gift every Sunday morning. I get to see the person I love the most in the world be their most authentic self. I get to see him be smart, funny, intellectual, vulnerable, and an unwavering voice for the oppressed. Why would I want to miss that? But the reality is, I needed to learn how to be different in my spiritual home. CJ becoming a minister was a challenge for me. I remember CJ calling me from the basement of the church in the RE education office where he was working as a religious education director. And he describes it as he was surrounded by the tools of that trade with arts and crafts, glue sticks, stacks of different curricula, and he told me he wanted to become a minister. It's something he felt called to do. My response was, I'm not surprised. I've never seen you fully satisfied or happy with the job until you worked at the church. Those words would lead us on a journey. One of the strengths of our marriage has always been that we let each other grow. We moved from New York City to Massachusetts so I could go to grad school. The kids were my idea, my dream. We are together, but we change. It didn't occur to me not to support him. We really have mastered the ability to grow together and next to each other. To understand the challenge I faced by his call to ministry, you need to understand my journey as a Unitarian Universalist. We had originally joined a UU church in Worcester, Massachusetts. When our son Tony, during his transition from foster care to our home, he was 8 years old, asked innocently enough, when are we going to church? Tony had been in a Seventh-day Adventist foster home for 4 years prior to coming to us. And he was used to going to church 5 days a week. We were a gay couple who knew that the Catholic Church of our childhood was not a welcoming place for us and our new family. Neither of us had really considered going to church prior to that fateful question. I knew of Unitarian Universalism through one of my sisters. I have 5 brothers and 2 sisters. And it didn't even occur to us not to honor Tony's request. Parenting is about your kids, it's not about you. You do what they need. We both became active members in a congregation with 1,000 members and 300 kids in religious education. It's a huge church, program level. I was a youth advisor. I had begun working with children with mental health issues in their families at that point. And during my work week, I saw many children in very hopeless situations and struggling with their own demons. And those UU youth on the weekends brought me hope for the next generation. Recently, I thought back on that time in a conversation with our Director of Childhood and Youth Programs, Chantal Rhodes. She stated she loved the work she was doing at All Faiths. At the time, I told her when I was working with Unitarian Universalist youth, it was some of the best times of my life, and it gave me hope. Chantal adamantly agreed and said it does the same for her. She talked about how she feels our children and youth are teaching her as much as she's teaching them. A couple of years later, CJ and I purchased a home in Fitchburg, Massachusetts, an old industrial city 45 minutes north of Worcester. There was a UU church overlooking the Common in the center of the town, which is common in New England, which we joined. CJ ended up being the director of religious education. I ended up on the board of directors and then president of the congregation for 2 terms, as well as youth advisor for close to a decade. I fostered and led a youth group that grew from 4 to over 20 teens. I watched as youth brought their parents to church instead of the other way around. Youth had heard of the youth group from their friends and joined, and then managed to get their parents to come to church. I remember once during the Neighboring Faiths curriculum, this is a curriculum where you go visit other faiths and expose the kids to different religions. I remember bringing 20 teens to visit an Episcopal church that was across the Common from us. This was an older and dwindling congregation whose eyes went wide when they saw 20 teens and 2 adults walk in to participate in the service. Coffee hour was a little odd, as we had to explain that we were visiting from a different congregation and denomination, and that we wouldn't be back. The disappointment in the room was palpable. I led our small congregation through the recruitment and settling of a minister. I actually served on 2 ministerial search committees. I attended the General Assembly and did a conference on presidents of small churches and congregations. I also led through some times of conflict within the congregation and was able to move all sides towards resolution. I am and was good at leadership. This had become my ministry. I loved the ethical and responsible leadership fostered by our values as Unitarian Universalists. The challenge for me was that my identity as a Unitarian Universalist was as a lay leader. And this isn't really compatible with being a minister's spouse. CJ had several positions in his training and in his professional ministry. I've been there for every one. The list includes First Parish Littleton Mass for 2 years, Brookfield Unitarian Universalist Church for 1 year, Bell Street Chapel in Providence, Rhode Island for 1 year, First Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Palm Beaches for 4 years, and now All Faiths Unitarian Congregation going on 4 years. I've had to figure out how to fit in each of these. Each community had its own expectations and of me, and honestly, they were all different. I've had to learn how to be genuine in myself, but also how to support CJ in the context and culture of every congregation. In Littleton, Mass., my first try at being a minister's spouse, this was during his internship, CJ and I were called the Gay Clintons. I asked what that meant and was told we both could be president. We were a power couple. I guess I hadn't really learned how to tone down that leadership thing quite yet. CJ's ministry at Bell Street Chapel only lasted a year because he really took the placement so I could stay in my private practice, which was about an hour and 15 minutes north of Providence and outside of Worcester. It wasn't a good match, though. A beautiful building, lovely people. It was a small and quirky congregation that was determined to stay small and quirky. I also had reached a point in my own career that I really wanted to explore other options. CJ's voice for Bell Street was just, his voice and his passion was just too big for the pulpit. He didn't fit. In North Palm Beach, I made many friends, but never fell in love with the congregation. Culturally, it is a church that views Unitarian Universalism as an intellectual exercise. A sermon should be an intellectual college lecture. For me, there just wasn't enough heart and too much head. They also had some heteronormative attitudes that I just didn't really fit into very well. At every event involving food, I was complimented on my cooking. I don't cook. But because CJ was the minister, I was assumed to be the wife, and therefore I cook. And that was just one example. There were lots of those that I was really sort of put into the wife box, rather oddly. Since we're 2 guys, there's no wife in the picture. I've had a long journey to go from lay leader to who I am now. I've made mistakes in every congregation, including this one, but I am committed to learning. Now, I've made an agreement with myself that I come to church and participate in the congregation in ways that nourish me and feed my soul. I sing in the choir because I love to sing. I've never pretended to be good at it, or even that it was a strength, but the enthusiasm is there. I do news talk because I'm an avid reader and follow the news of our world religiously, and because it's a chance to share my sarcasm and wit. I play supportive roles whenever I'm asked, and many times when I'm not asked. I just see the need and I jump in. I do that a lot, don't I, Regina? I do that because I want my husband's ministry and our community to succeed. I won't lead a committee, and as soon as something becomes political, I'm out. But that's who I am as a UUMP. My husband uses the language of love when he talks about congregations. You may have noticed he says dear ones in his correspondence. I always thought it was a little weird. This is from a long tradition, though. This is from the tradition of ministers, of being a called minister, as the equivalent of marriage. And it's from the tradition, even older tradition, of marrying the church, or married to the church. I never really understood that emotional language, or that language of love, until All Faiths. I love the enthusiasm bordering on Southern baptism when we sing Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. The heart and caring of this community is unrivaled in my experience of Unitarian Universalist congregations. It's the most genuine and authentic community I've lived in. I've seen, All Faiths has helped me understand that language of love. So as your minister's spouse, I promise to grow as we go, as Joseph sang. You don't ever have to leave or to change what you need. You can change right next to me. When you're high, I'll take the lows. When you ebb, I can flow. And we'll take it slow, and we grow as we go. May I continue to grow into my role as a minister's spouse, and may we learn how to do this together. May it be so. I have a joke. So I do have a joke, because as we know, the tradition is to say a joke before the offertory because it makes people generous. So Gladys was Pastor Dunn's wife and went with him to church every Sunday. One Sunday, the sermon was particularly long. Some people were getting sleepy. When Pastor Dunn finally ended the service, his wife went over to one of the gentlemen who had fallen asleep in an effort to help him wake up. She extended her hand and said, "Hello, I'm Gladys Dunn." And the man replied, "Lady, you're not the only one." The offering will now be given and received.
It's been a long time coming since I've seen your face. I've been everywhere and back, trying to replace everything that I had till my feet went numb. Praying like a fool that's been on the run. My heart's still beating, but it's not working. It's like $1 million phone that you just can't ring. I reach out trying to love, but I feel nothing. Yeah, my heart was numb. But with you, I feel again. Yeah, with you, I can feel again. Yeah. Oh, 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 I'm feeling better ever since you've known me. I was a lonely soul, but that's the old me. It's been a long time coming since I've seen your face. I've been everywhere and back, trying to replace everything that I broke till my feet went numb. Praying like a fool, shot out of a gun. My heart's still beating, but it's not working. It's like 100,000 voices that just can't sing. I reached out trying to love, but I feel nothing. My heart was numb. But with you, again. Yeah, with you, I can feel again. I'm feeling better ever since you've known me. I was a lonely soul, but that's the old me. I'm feeling better ever since you've known me. I was a lonely soul. Oh, oh, oh. soul, but that's the old me. A little wiser now from what you show me. I feel again, feel again. Oh.
Before he gives the closing words, I just want to particularly thank Richard for the wonderful, wonderful sharing of his life story with us today. And I'm so glad that when he came to All Faiths, he found some heart along with the head. We do try to stress that here. And another thing that stood out for me, a couple times he mentioned the word authentic and authenticity. And one of the things that I have often stressed in my talks with Reverend C.J. McGregor is that I appreciate so much his authenticity. He is who he is. He's real, he's genuine, he shares his stories with us, he shares his humor, his love, his care and support, and we are just so blessed here to have this beautiful couple with us in leading our community. And now I invite Richard to have his closing words.
Go in peace. Live simply, gently, and at home in yourselves. Speak justly. Act justly. Remember the depth of your own compassion. Forget not your power in the days of your powerlessness. Do not desire to be wealthier than your peers or stint your hand of charity. Practice forbearance. Speak the truth or speak not. Take care of yourselves as bodies, for you are a good gift. Crave peace for all people in the world, beginning with yourselves. And go, as you go, with the dream of that peace alive in your heart.
You can be amazing, you can turn a phrase into a weapon or a drug. You can be the outcast or be the backlash to somebody's lack of love. Or you can start speaking up. Nothing's gonna hurt you the way that words do when they settle neath your skin. Kept on the inside and no sunlight, sometimes a shadow wins. But I wonder what would happen if you say what you wanna say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave with what you wanna say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave. Just wanna see you. I just wanna see you. I just wanna see you. I wanna see you be brave. Just wanna see you. I just wanna see you. Just wanna see you. Just wanna see you be brave. Everybody's been there, everybody's been stared down by the enemy, fallen for the fear and done some disappearing, bow down to the mighty. Don't run, just stop holding your tongue. Maybe there's a way out of the cage where you live. Or maybe one of these days you can let the light in and show me how big your brave is. Say what you wanna say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave with what you want. fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave with what you wanna say. Let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave. Just wanna see you. I just wanna see you. I just wanna see you. I wanna see you be brave. Just wanna see you. I just wanna see you. Just wanna see you. I wanna see you be brave. Just wanna see you. I just wanna see you. I just wanna see you. Oh, I wanna see you be brave.
Wow, what a service today, huh? I want to see you be brave and grow and feel again. Remember, it's a lot of heart, not just all the head around here at All Face. And I really want to thank Richard for sharing his personal story with us today. You are such a precious member of this congregation. And just a reminder, next Sunday, his husband, Reverend CJ, will be back in the pulpit. And he shared some secrets with us today. And I'm pretty sure CJ would be real happy about all of that because he's all about authenticity and love. And Joseph, your music today was just extra special. It's always good, but it tied in so beautifully with the message of the day. Thank you for the beautiful, beautiful music as always. And Regina Kilmartin, who has run the camera for our services, and that enables our services to be shown live on Facebook. Many of our members still are attending the services on Facebook, and they're also available later in the day on our website, on Facebook and YouTube for those who cannot be present. And I want to thank Ed Elrod on sound and Joe Gayton, our sexton. Is Joe still here in the room? Joe, will you be going to Cleveland or will you be here? Okay, well, please give our love and all of our prayers to Carol. Our hearts and thoughts are very much with Carol today. Thank you. It's good to be connected and to stay together in whatever way that we can. And now I'd like to invite Bob DeGalbo to come forward to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world. Go now in peace and have a beautiful and wonderful day and week ahead.